Building in Minecraft does not have to be that hard. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 realistic tips, and by the end, you're going to be a better builder. No matter what your experience level is, you're going to learn something new, I promise you. Let's go. Location, location, location. So here I have chosen 3 different locations, and I have labeled them from bronze to gold to diamond. These are the 3 different locations. You can't really go wrong with any of these locations, but I promise you there's a best one. When I see people having trouble building Minecraft, these are the things that I find. You either want to build something way up on top of a mountain, or you want to build something on a very flat piece of land. I would avoid these things, and here's why. When you build something on the top of this hill, you're going to need to terraform a lot to make this look good. Also, if this is just a basic starter home, it is not going to look as good as you think, and being on top of a hill makes it the centerpiece of this whole area. Remember, you want the build to work with the land. You don't want it to stick out like a sore thumb. The second place here is this gold piece. The reason why I don't like this place as much, what I've done is I've pushed it a little too far to the water. You're gonna find that this place here is gonna be cramped, and you're gonna run out of room in the middle of your build, and you're gonna need to terraform a lot to make it look good. So finally, we have this diamond place. Having our build back here in this diamond location is gonna allow for future landscaping. It's gonna allow for future pathing. It's gonna give you enough room to build your house nicely without needing to terraform a lot. So it's going to save you time, and in the end, it's going to look a lot better. When choosing the location to build, you want to work with the land, not against it. You want to use the pre-generated world as much as you possibly can, because if you don't, it's going to add a ton of time in terraforming and in digging, and that is time you could better spend on actually making your build better. Number 2 is the shape and the style or the theme of your build. This is super important, and you're going to want to figure this out before you even put one block down. You may even want to go into creative and play around with shapes, and you definitely want to think in the future, what is the theme of your world going to be? Is there a theme already established? If so, you want to stick to that. Some tips here to remember. You want to avoid squares and rectangles. It's not that you can't use those, it's that if you do, it needs to be completely amazing, or it will look plain and boring. Even if you just make a simple L, your build is going to stand out, and the reason is depth. Having multiple shapes within your build is going to add a natural sense of depth, and it's going to look more realistic, and it's going to look more interesting. Another tip is just the general size of your build, and I'm going to give you just super simple ideas for this. If you have a side of your build where there's going to be a peak of the roof or a single door, you're going to want your wall length to be odd. And if you have a flat section of your roof or you have a double door, then you're going to want your house length to be even. Now, as far as the overall size of your build, that's going to be up to you, depending on how much stuff you want to store, depending on how many rooms you want in it, and also depending on the landscape around you. A good general rule is just create a size that looks proper for the landscape that you are working with. You are struggling with ideas. Yes, you can go on YouTube and find exact builds to copy, but if I was you, I would actually go on Google and search real, actual IRL buildings to gain insight and inspiration from, and you're going to end up making something unique that stands out and looks different, and people will really like it. Tip number 3 is block palette. This one is a really big deal because it depends on so many factors of where you are in the game. So if you're just starting out and you're brand new in your world and you don't have a lot of materials, your block palette's obviously going to be different than someone who's played in their world for many, many days and has pretty much everything. And obviously, if you're playing in creative, your block palette is infinite. Don't go anywhere, because I promise you this tip is going to actually add something to even the creative players. So number 1, start with the blocks you already have. If you have an abundance of blocks, you're going to want to use those first. So take an inventory of what you have and then prioritize those in your build. Second tip, in a simple build, this is what you're going to want to focus on: a primary block, a secondary block, and an accent block. When you're first starting out, you're going to want to just focus on colors. Later on, you can work on textures and mixing up the blocks. Now, I can't dive into all of the color combinations and what looks good and what doesn't. One tip that'll just help you: stay neutral with your colors. Another tip with your block palette: do not start your entire build. Just work on one corner of your house and create a little sample. If you like it and you love it, you want to stick with it, then you can start building the rest of your house. You may have seen people mixing up their blocks and texturing their builds. I would not focus on that right now, especially if you're just starting out. I would build the house with simple blocks that you already have, and at the end, if you want, you can start experimenting with texturing. Okay, tip number 4 is the roof design. This is the hardest part of this entire video, so do not miss this step. I'm going to give you some simple tips that are going to help you with your roof designs, and it's just going to make your life a lot easier. But here are some realistic tips to help you out with your design. Give yourself a lot of time to make the roof. It's okay if it takes a long time. It takes everybody a long time to make the roof. The next tip: Design your roof design with your gable wall. If you didn't know, in real building, this is called a gable. It's basically the triangle that makes the peak of your roof. Experiment with shape. Build up your gable wall and step back and look at it. Do you like the shape? Do not move on to the rest of the roof until you like this gable wall shape. You're gonna save a ton of time if you just keep tweaking this wall instead of making your whole roof and then ripping it down and building it again. The next tip, after you like your shape and you're ready to build the actual roof, you're gonna wanna work with 3 blocks. You're gonna wanna work with blocks, slabs, and stairs. So have an abundance of those 3 blocks and be ready to use them interchangeably with what works with the roof. Third big tip, and this one, it really confuses people, so listen up. When you have the tallest part of your roof, the tallest part of your roof needs to be the main section of your house. All the other roof shapes need to come into that. So build out the tallest part of your roof first. Okay, last tip with roof design. It's okay to copy and use other resources online to get started with roof designs. They're hard, so don't feel bad about researching and copying them block for block. And once you do that enough, you're gonna start to learn what makes an interesting roof, and then you'll be able to design your own designs. And the last tip, overhang your roof. You're gonna wanna overhang your gable wall and just the regular walls as well. It gives your build depth, but it also makes it realistic and pleasing to the eye. Last tip, and this is the best one you're gonna hear all day, and that is landscaping the exterior of your build. The reason why this is so good is because it is easy and it adds so much to your build. If you skip landscaping, it's like making a cake without putting any decoration or frosting on it at all. Landscaping should take the least amount of your time. If you're just starting out with landscaping, here are the blocks that you're gonna wanna use: bushes, fences, trapdoors, and plants. Experiment with bushes, with shrubs and plants. Experiment with trapdoors and fences. Landscaping is all about framing as well. Remember back in tip 1, trying to create a place that frames in your house naturally with the environment. Well, landscaping does the same thing. The bushes frame your house. The trees around your build frame your house as well. You can do custom trees, or you can just grow natural Minecraft trees. The last tip with landscaping, and listen, this is such an important one. Make sure you path to your house. Building paths to your house to give you a sense of a natural walkway, it actually gives you a secondary place to go and build later. When creating paths to your build, make sure you do not make them perfectly straight. That is just jarring to the eye and does not look good. Give them a little bit of curve and a little bit of depth as far as elevation. Don't forget to landscape the paths as well. Add bushes and fences along your path or little points of interest. Improving your building in Minecraft is the best way to increase the enjoyment of this game. Not only will you just be proud of the thing that you created, it adds reason for the blocks you collect, for the farms that you make, and playing the game in general. Hey, thanks for watching, and consider subscribing if you gained something out of this video, and check this video out. YouTube's suggesting it, it must be good.